Hello, ladies and gentlemen, federal employees. It is so good to talk to you again today. So, if you have been a regular listener, a regular viewer, whatever, if you have consumed my content somewhere regularly, then you will know that in general, I'm a huge fan of people delaying their Social Security if they can. Now, if you do Google searches, in general, that is what you're going to find. You're going to find people basically hating on starting Social Security young or at 62, as early as you can. Most people on the internet are going to say, hey, no, wait, it makes sense to wait. And in general, I do believe that is true for a lot of people. But Social Security is far from a one-size-fits-all thing. There are some real situations, some real times where it makes sense to start it early at 62. And recently I've talked a lot about not starting it or starting at 62, but today I want to touch on 4 situations, specific situations, where for you it may make sense to start it early, okay? So, make sure you pay attention, and whenever I talk about something that may apply to you, where in your ear you say, hey, that may be my situation, make sure you dig deeper. I only have so much time to give you the facts. Make sure you take what I say, you dig deeper, find all the details for you. Okay, let's jump right in. So, reason number 1 for taking Social Security early, one great reason is if you simply need the income. In an ideal situation, everyone would have the financial resources to wait to delay their Social Security for the optimum time for them. But in real life, we know that things happen. We know that a huge percentage of retirees actually retire before they plan to. And not because they wanted to, but because they were forced to. Whether that's disability, whether that's a family situation, maybe they had to go take care of a parent or a spouse. Something happened which caused them to stop working and they had to leave early. Their pension, let's say, maybe wasn't as high as they would have hoped. Whatever, so they're forced to take Social Security early because they need the income. And sometimes that is the best solution, right? Like I said, in an ideal world, we all have the financial resources to wait for the exact time that makes sense for us, but in some circumstances, it does make sense because you need the income now and you don't have other resources to fill the gap. Okay, so that's number 1, if you need the income to live. Okay, number 2, if you are single and you have health issues. So, when it comes to Social Security, being married actually comes with a lot more complexity because the time that you choose to turn on your Social Security benefits directly impacts what benefits your spouse will be able to get off of your record, as well as what benefits they'll be left with from your record when you pass away. Directly impacts. So as a single person, you don't have to deal with that nuance. It's a lot simpler for you to decide, okay, for me, what makes sense? So for a single person, one of the biggest things that matters is how long you're going to live. For a married person, there's more complexity. But for a single person, that's what it comes down to. Is, okay, how long are you going to live, and when does it make sense to take benefits? So if you're single and you have health issues, you have a disease, an illness, something that you know that the chances of you living past the break-even ages for Social Security are very low, then maybe it does make sense to take it early. You kind of have to look at your specific situation to see, okay, for me, does that make sense? Okay, so that's number 2. So, number 3. So if your spouse is older than you and has lower benefits, so basically, let's say your spouse is 10 years older than you, or 5 years, whatever, is older than you, but they have earned less during their career, so their Social Security benefits are going to be lower. And in this case, for this strategy to work, they would be better off taking from your benefit to the spousal benefit than on their own record. The benefit they'd get from spousal benefits from your record would be higher, in other words, right? And if that is the case, then sometimes it makes sense for the higher earner, the higher earning spouse, to start Social Security early, which then would allow the lower earning spouse to start getting spousal benefits off that worker's record. So, you have to look at your numbers. Some of these strategies really depend on your situation, but that strategy sometimes, overall, in the combined benefits of both spouses, you end up getting more over time. There's nuances, but that may be a time that makes sense for the higher earning spouse to take benefits early. Okay. The fourth situation where it might just make sense to take benefits early at 62 is if you have minor or disabled children. In that case, you, your spouse, and your children may be eligible for benefits, but most of the time those benefits are dependent on if you, as the worker, have filed for benefits already. And if you have, then your spouse and your disabled or minor child may be eligible as well. And so what happens is that between all three of those benefits, sometimes you can get as much as 180% of whatever your benefits would be at full retirement age. There's lots of nuances, so like I said, if you think that would apply to you, if you have minor or disabled children, look into some of these rules of, okay, if I was to file, what would my spouse get? What would my kids get? What would the numbers look like? So it doesn't make sense to start it early to get the most out of that now. So those are 4 specific situations where indeed it makes sense to take Social Security early. Now, unfortunately, most of the time when I talk to federal employees, I talk to a lot of federal employees, and I always ask them about their plans with Social Security. And those that plan on taking it early at 62, they generally are doing it for different reasons. And I talk about this all the time, and I'm sure you will see, if you have not already seen, a video from me about some of the terrible reasons to start it at 62. But the 4 reasons that I just gave today are some good reasons, legitimate reasons, that may make sense for you. Like I said, I don't know your situation, but if I was someone's financial planner and someone was in some of these situations and the numbers worked out, I say, hey, let's do this. This is what makes sense for you and your situation, right? So that is what you have to do for you. If you don't have a financial planner, if you don't have someone helping you through these decisions, then it's your job. You're your own financial planner. You're your life planner who needs to go in and look at these decisions to say, okay, for me, these are the facts. How does Social Security work? And how do I get the most out of it? Because Social Security is a huge, huge part of your retirement, and getting it right makes a huge, huge difference. Not just with your finances, but how confident you are in retirement, and what your spouse will be left with in retirement. So many details that are so essential to getting the most out of your retirement just by getting Social Security right. So, those are my thoughts for today. I hope that was helpful. Have a great rest of your day, and please consider subscribing, leave a comment, give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate the support, and I will continue to bring you great information about your FERS federal retirement. Have a great one. We'll see you next time.